All right, let's dive into a pretty wild idea about the afterlife. What if it's not someplace you just show up to? What if it's a reality you actually help build? Today, we're going to break down exactly how our collective beliefs can literally construct entire worlds. Yeah, this is the big question we're tackling. I mean, forget everything you've heard about some pre-built heaven or hell. Instead, just imagine an afterlife that's built, brick by brick. But these aren't stone bricks. They're made of the shared beliefs and expectations of every single person there. It's a reality we are literally co-creating together. So this whole idea isn't just pulled out of thin air. It actually comes from explorers at the Monroe Institute. And what their research suggests is that our consciousness isn't just some passive passenger that arrives at a final destination. Nope, it's an active participant. It's a creator of the very reality it experiences after death. Okay, so how in the world does this actually work? Well, to really get our heads around it, let's start small. Let's look at the basic mechanics of how these realities get built in the first place. So these places, they have a name. They're called belief system territories. And it's really important to get this. It's not just a physical location. Think of it more like a reality field, one that's powered by focused thought and emotion. It's kind of like a psychic ecosystem where the laws of nature are based on pure expectation. You find exactly what you believe you're going to find because you and everyone else there are constantly creating it in real time. And the rules here, they're not physical laws like gravity. They're psychological. They're generated and held stable by the collective agreements of everyone inside. So if a group has this deep, profound belief in a very specific kind of heaven, that shared focus is what literally brings it into being as their reality. But here's the crucial part. These places aren't permanent prisons or even permanent paradises. They're more like waypoints, places you can enter, experience, and then eventually leave behind. Okay, that's the small scale. But what happens when these territories scale up? I mean, really scale up. What happens when a belief system isn't just held by a small group, but by billions of people over thousands of years? Well, it evolves into something way, way bigger, a planetary egregore. So what is an egregore? Well, think of it as a belief territory that's grown up, matured, into this vast, incredibly powerful entity. The source material actually calls it a living thought form. And that's not just a metaphor. It's not just an idea, it's a real energetic structure. And it's been sustained for centuries by human focus. And the fuel that powers this thing? It's raw human emotion. We're talking devotion, fear, ritual, and our very sense of identity. Now, to make this whole concept a little less abstract, the source points to a really clear example, the Abrahamic religions. We're talking Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They're described as probably the most visible example of a planetary-scale egregore. What might have started as these really direct, authentic encounters with the divine, over time, slowly solidified into this enormous vessel that billions of souls now move through.
Now, this is super important to understand. The source material isn't painting this as a good or bad thing. It's not that simple. This massive structure is described as having a dual nature. It's got two faces containing both a pure original spark and some pretty significant distortions. So on one side, you've got what's called the flame. This is the part of the egregore that holds on to the core essential truths, right? The idea of one creator, the call to love your neighbor. It can be a totally genuine path to real compassion. But then you have the other side, distortion. And this is where things get tricky. This is where spiritual authority gets centralized, where fear of hell or exclusion is used to keep everyone in line, and where just questioning the group mind gets punished. And that, of course, can really cap how far a person feels they're allowed to grow.
Okay, so with this really complex picture, how are you supposed to navigate it all? I mean, how do you know if your own participation in any group belief system is actually helping you or holding you back? Well, the source offers a super clear and simple personal test for that.
It's just this one single question. And man, it really cuts through all the dogma and gets right to the heart of it. All you have to do is ask yourself this. Does my participation here genuinely increase my love, my wisdom, and my spiritual freedom, my sovereignty? Or does it kind of diminish them for the sake of fitting in with the group?
And applying this is basically a three-step process of becoming more self-aware. First, you just name the territory. Acknowledge the belief system you're a part of with zero judgment. Just see it for what it is. Second, you apply the test. You ask that question, and you have to be really honest with yourself. And third, with that new awareness, you get to consciously choose. Is staying here nurturing my growth? Or is it maybe time to step beyond its walls?
And all of this brings us to the ultimate conclusion, the big takeaway from the source material. And it's this. These belief systems, even the massive, planetary ones, they are not the final destination. They absolutely serve a purpose, but they are not the end of the journey.
The source really drives this home with a powerful quote. No territory, however vast, is ultimate. Think about what that means. It means that no matter how ancient, how powerful, how all-encompassing a belief system might feel, it's still just one world inside a much, much larger, totally unbounded reality.
And this is where we get a really great metaphor. All of these belief systems are described as being like temporary scaffolding. They provide structure, they help us build our spiritual understanding, they can be incredibly useful, but you don't live in the scaffolding forever. The source suggests that sooner or later, every soul starts to hunger for that direct union again, to experience the core truth for themselves, without any go-between.
And that's really the ultimate goal here, a direct connection, one that isn't filtered through a group or a text or a system. The belief system is the vessel, but you are the flame. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. What lies beyond the vessel that has contained your flame up until now?